Hi, folks. We're back with Quinton, and we're going to be talking about a very important subject: observability and cost control in Databricks.
Yep, so it's super easy, and we'll show you how to make sure you have everything to be able to track and check all your costs within Databricks at the workspace and account level. So the first step is super simple. You might not have to do it, but I'm still going to show you what you have to check. You want to make sure your system table, especially the billing one, is enabled in the workspaces and at the account level. So how to do that? Super easy. You can just log in any of the workspaces that you have. So here I'm in my workspace. You want to check in the catalog explorer on the left. You want to select the system catalog. And then you want to make sure you have all the system tables being available, especially the billing one, because that's the one we'll be interested in. So by default, you might not have all the schema being there in the catalog. You just have to enable them, and it's super easy. I'm going to show you how to do it. So you have a bunch of options. My easiest option is just to use the small DB demo and system table that we have, which is going to give you like a notebook pre-packaged with everything. On top of that, we will have a nice dashboard, and we'll show you the dashboard at the end. So super easy, just go with pip install DB demos. You can install the system table demo, and then you will have a books being installed, including the enable system table notebook that we have here, that one. You can just click on run all. What it's going to do, it's going to go and check all the system table and make sure they are being enabled within the account level. So you have to run the notebook as account admin so that you have the permission to enable the system level, the system schema. And that's going to make sure you have all the system table being available, and you will see all the billing table within your workspace. That's it. That's the only thing you have to do. So go and log into the catalog menu. Check if you have all the billing. If you don't have all the billing, just install DB demo, run the notebook, and you are good to go. And step one, done.
And now let's move to the second step. The second step would consist on adding tags over all the compute. The tags are very, very important. Why? Because that's how you're able to track those costs. The first option is to go and of course tag manually the compute, whether you're using an interactive clusters, gonna be, for example, here tags gonna be engineering. So that's the first example. Like when you create an all-purpose cluster, you can also tag the workflows, like create a job, then select your tasks and just go to tag. And again, same thing. You can do team, engineering. Of course, you can add as many tags as you want. You can break down by department, by business unit, by cost center. You have many options. I talked about workflows, but you can also tag SQL warehouses. So I'm going to create a SQL warehouse, advanced options, team, engineering. You can also tag the model serving one. So just come here. Again, you have tags. You are able to track the cost of all the compute resources. But I know this can be sometimes overwhelming because you need to make sure that every time, whenever a developer is creating a cluster or compute, he needs or she needs to add the tags. So that's why you can rely on, for the classical compute, something called cluster policies. You can create them, and you can, for example, make sure that you create this policy. It can be either a custom or interactive or a job. And as you can see here, I added a custom tag called team, and the value is data engineering. And then I can just go and attach this policy to a group of people. For example, this policy will be attached to data engineers. So whenever someone from the data engineering group tries to create a cluster, this cluster will be automatically tagged. And let me show you a quick example. So I'm going to create a compute. Of course, here I am an admin, so I have all the policies, but by default, I would have assigned this specific policy. And if I go to automatically tagged, you see team data engineering. But you're going to ask me a question. What about the new resources, the new compute resource? I'm talking here about serverless notebooks, serverless workflow, model serving, SQL warehouse. The answer is budget policies. And this one go beyond the cluster policies. Why? Because when you're using a cluster and you're tagging this cluster, for example, data engineering, maybe this cluster is being used by 3 people. How can you, for example, see the cost for every single person? It's a little bit hard. With this one, you can just go and you need to go to settings. You need to be an admin of the workspace. You need to go to compute and then go to budget policies. Click on manage, create the policy. Let's call it, for example, data engineering. You can add the tag, for example, project, data engineering, and then I'm gonna create this policy. After creating this policy, I need to assign it to a specific group of people. So just need to go to the permission and then you grant access to a specific group, whether it's gonna be a manager or a user. Once it's done, so now if I go, for example, to a notebook, and maybe I am using a serverless notebook, what will happen? If I go to the environment, I will see that I have the budget policy data engineering. In case I have multiple policies attached to me, I can select the one that needs to be applied here. And then, of course, I know at the end, if I'm running some code, then this cost will be assigned to my business unit, or my team, which is data engineering. And same thing will be applied if I am creating a workflow using serverless compute. So let me just select, I don't know, a random notebook. Let's call it test. It's going to be serverless. Once I create the task, you're going to see that automatically there is a tag added, budget policy, data engineering, and the tags is data engineering. And of course, same thing will be applied to model serving. Again, if you go here, you have this budget policies, data engineering, and it's also coming to SQL warehouses where you can see budget policy, engineering yourself attached, which means this will tag all the different compute resources within my environment. And by this, I would have completed the second task.
Yeah, and the good thing with the budget policies is that it's going to track like all the compute at the user level. So for example, if Youssef is running some kind of compute using serverless compute in the notebook, we'll be able to say, okay, that run was specifically on Youssef, and you can track at the user level, which is really powerful.
And that's the beauty of serverless.
All right, so that was for step 2. So again, classic computes, you can go and add manual tagging, and you can enforce these manual tagging with cluster policies. And for all the serverless computes, you can use the new budget policies, which are much more powerful and give you user level detail. So once you have that, you have the tagging, all the tracking is going to be done automatically by Databricks for you, and everything will go in the system table that we enabled. So now we can just use this information, which is the last step, to track the cost and just check what's happening in at the account level or workspace level, whatever you want to do. So you have a couple of options and things you can do. First, I'm going to show you the new budget alerts, which is really cool. And that's something you can have at the account level. So let me log at the account level as like an admin of my accounts. So you see all the information that you have on the left, and the one we want to go is the usage menu. And in the usage menu, you have the new budgets part. So what's a budget? Well, you can create a budget and give it a name. So let's say, for example, to use Youssef example, data engineering. So you say that you only want to spend maybe 1,000 USD in data engineering. You want to apply that to all the workspaces that you have, and we'll track the key. I think it was project. So you have to make sure you match the tags you have in the policies, and then the value you want to track, data engineering. And then you can say, okay, if something goes wrong, send me an email. So if I go above the limits and the amount that I have here, I'm going to receive an email saying, hey, something is wrong, like you are over the amounts you prescribed in the budget. Please check it out. Something is not going as expected. And that's it. Once you the tracking, it's going to fill up. You will have nice diagram to show you the consumption and see what's going on. Currently, I don't have anything because it's a brand new budget. But as as user, for example, is going to start some compute and the compute is tagged, I will see that appear here. I will be able to track everything. So you can create as many budget as you want, link the budget with multiple policies. Like you can be flexible based on how you want to organize your team. So that's it for the budget and the alerting.
It's kind of, for example, just ahead of each project, as the person who will receive this email, or maybe the FinOps team, which will help them track the cost for every single project.
Yeah, and you can also plug the email to, for example, Slack, get a Slack notification, hey, something is wrong, data engineering is overspending, please have a look and fix what's going on. If you want to go into details and track, what your teams are actually doing, you can also use the pre-baked dashboard that you have on the consumption. So you have the button, visit the new dashboard. You can click on the button, and that's going to land into the brand new dashboard within one of your workspace. So the dashboard is just using the system table, the one we enabled just before, to track everything and show you what's going on at the account level. So you have a bunch of dashboards. For example, that one is showing you, how much you spent. We split that by SKU, so you can see that the main SKU, the pinkish one, is the SQL. My workspaces are consuming a lot of DB SQL. And then you have, a lot of information you can use and average. And of course, you can also filter on the tags that we defined before so that you can go into more details, track which team is using what. It depends on your use case, but you have all the information you want to be able to drill down and see, what's going on. On top of that one, using DB demos, we also package for you a bunch of dashboards. So I'm going to show you that. So these are the more, community kind of dashboard that we have. So again, if you use DB demo, you install the UC system table one. You go down after the installation and you see a bunch of dashboard that we have. So that one is the one I showed you just before at the account level. And then we also give you example on how you can track the cost for your ML model, the serving endpoints, the warehouse, the workflow, the job, everything. So I'm going to show you a bunch of them so that you see what you can do. All right, so that one is to track the model serving endpoints and see which endpoint and which user is potentially consuming what. So you can have a view of all the model serving endpoints. Very interestingly, we can see that someone created a really big endpoint recently. So you definitely want to have a look and check that and see what's going on here. So it's giving you, a bunch of information, which endpoint are you using, foundational model, track the cost per endpoint, track potentially the user. So if someone creates a big endpoint, you can go back to the user and say, hey, what's going on here? And you can also filter, of course, by tags. And you have the same one for the warehouse. So same thing, you can track all the workspaces, you can track which warehouse is spending what, potentially which user created the warehouse. You can drill down and see what's going on and get more information and avoid having the cost going too high. We also have one, an amazing one for jobs and workflow. So you can track everything, which user is triggering which job, the cost, which workflow is triggering the most, and get all the information from this dashboard. So you can really use that to drill down and see what's going on, who is consuming what, and which potentially workflow, workspace, model serving endpoint, basically which resources is consuming the most and where you can go and check what's going on.
Yeah, and those are just pre-built dashboards, and we have a bunch of other dashboards. We're gonna put the links in the description of the recording. And you can also use system tables to build literally anything, use your imagination. You have the schemas. You can, for example, track the cost for every single query, see the longest running workflows, the workflows using, interactive clusters. You can do literally everything. And now you no longer have excuses. You can only understand from where the costs are coming.
Yep. And again, super simple, 3 steps, enable the system table, enforce the tagging for classic and serverless, and then you can just set up your alerts and track the cost through all the nice dashboard we made for you. Super easy.
Perfect. Thank you.